We all know and love Aragorn from the books and movies. Let me tell you how his life looked before the War of the Ring. If you enjoy our content, consider subscribing to the channel. Leave ideas for future videos in the comments down below. Aragorn was born in March 1st, 2931 of the First Age in Eriador. His father, Arathorn, was the chieftain of the Dúnedain. His mother was named Gilraen. Aragorn's grandmother, Ivorven, had a vision in which she saw a descendant of Arathorn who would wear the legendary green stone on his chest and that he would accomplish great deeds. When Aragorn was 2 years old, his father and Elrond's sons went hunting, where they were ambushed by orcs. One of them fired an arrow that struck Arathorn in the eye. After his father's death, Aragorn's mother took her son to Rivendell. Elrond, honoring old traditions, took Aragorn as his pupil. The real identity of the boy was kept secret, even from himself. Aragorn was given a new name, Estel, which in the language of the elves means hope. He grew up among the elves and spent most of his time with Elrond's sons, Elrohir and Eladan, accompanying them on their travels. He grew up to be a brave and honorable man. He was much more mature than his age would have indicated. In the year 2952 of the Third Age, Aragorn returned to Rivendell from one of the expeditions he went on with Elrond's sons. At the time, he was 21 years old, and Elrond decided it was time to reveal his true identity, history, and legacy. Aragorn was then given the family insignia, Narsil's remains and Barahir's ring. Elrond, however, left the scepter of Annúminas, a symbol of the power of the ancient kings, telling young Aragorn that he must first earn it. The next day, Aragorn, sitting in the forest, sang a song about Beren and Lúthien. Arwen, the daughter of Elrond, who had just returned from Lothlórien, heard the song and decided to meet its performer. When she stood before him, he thought that he saw Lúthien herself, whom he had sung about, enchanted by her beauty. He fell in love at first sight. It seemed as if his titles, of which he had learned only yesterday, had suddenly lost their meaning in the face of the newly met beauty. But she didn't return his feelings. Elrond met him later that year, telling him that he couldn't get married or even bind any woman with the word. Aragorn, accepting his true name and inheritance, said goodbye to his mother and Elrond and decided to go to the wilderness. In 2956, in the Third Age, he met Gandalf the Grey, and thus began their great friendship. On the advice of the wizard, Aragorn became interested in a tiny land called the Shire. He often wandered into those areas and gained the name Strider. Years later, Aragorn traveled around Middle-earth and helped Westerners fight Sauron's forces. He served with King Rohan Tengel, Theoden's father, and together they fought side by side. He also went to Gondor, where Steward Ectelion II was in great need. In Gondor, he kept his true identity a secret, not wanting to cause a great sensation. Ectelion had more love and trust for him than his real son, Denethor. Many believe it was jealousy that caused Denethor's great hatred of Aragorn. Denethor had already suspected Aragorn's true identity and was afraid that he would replace him. But all this time, Aragorn saw himself only as faithful servant of the steward, whom he advised and helped. When Ectelion, fearing Sauron, decided to strengthen the eastern and northern borders of the kingdom, Aragorn warned him that with this movement, he was exposing his southern borders to the enemy. Ectelion allowed him to assemble a detachment and several ships to attack the Umbar privateers. Under cover of night, Aragorn and his men attacked enemy troops. They burned many ships and killed the enemy commander. Great honors awaited Aragorn in Minas Tirith, but he didn't return to the city. He left his farewell words in Pelargir for Ectelion, in which he explained that other urgent tasks were calling him. Strider crossed the Anduin and went to the Far East, where he explored the wide lands and beliefs of people living there. He also learned about enemy moves in those regions. In the years 2980 of the Third Age, Aragorn returned from his travel to Middle-earth. When he reached the forests of Lorien, Galadriel invited him to the Elven Kingdom. Aragorn accepted the invitation and enjoyed the hospitality of the elves. He met there with Arwen, who was once again in her mother's homeland. Under the flowering golden trees of Caras Galadon, the fate on Andomiel was sealed once and for all. Aragorn also gave his beloved Barahir's ring. They spent the whole spring on long walks in the forest and conversations. However, the day of returning to the trail was unavoidably coming. In the evening before the shortest night of the summer, the lovers met on the Kerin Amrod hill and promised each other love. Elrond, however, was resolute. Aragorn must first become the ruler of Arnor and Gondor before he is worthy of the hand of his daughter. In 3007, Aragorn returned to Rivendell, where he visited his mother for the last time. Later, he helped Gandalf find Gollum, and it took them several years. Shortly before the events of The Lord of the Rings, he returned to Eriador.